Hello everyone, welcome back to Bedside Tabletop, and tonight we will be finishing our playthrough of the Stonemaier board game Expeditions, which again is a sequel to another Stonemaier game called Scythe. It was really popular back in the day, and this one is designed still by the same designer, Jamie Stegmaier, who is also the head of Stonemaier Games. Now, when we last left off, we had just done the play and gather action on our player board. We had gained this quest, the Cure the Whale of Parasites quest, using our quest stone, and then the Automa took their turn, so now it is going to be back to our turn. So let's get cracking and see what we want to accomplish. Alright guys, here's what we're going to do. We are going to do the classic move and gather action. Now, why are we going to do this? Well, we've got this card here, Jiro, that requires a blue worker, and we've got the Cure a Whale of Parasites card, which I do like its power of paying a guile and a power to gain a 3 or 4 corruption if it's the top corruption, and that one requires a blue worker as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out on the board and we're going to gather a blue worker so we can use those cards in the future. Alright, so we're going to move again. We have a movement of 1, 2, 3 hexes. We're going to move our mech 1, 2, 3 on the isolated settlement, and then we're going to gather and we're going to grab a blue worker into our supply. Alright, and that's our turn done, so we're going to flip over that Automa card and see what we get. Okay, it looks like the Automa is going to gain a progress. They are now close to getting that 4th star out. And what else are they going to do? Okay, well, it looks like that northernmost Automa mech is going to take a corruption action. In fact, it seems like both of the Automa mechs are going to be taking a corruption action because the Automa definitely has more than 2 stars out on the board. So let's go ahead and resolve those. Alright, and this is going to be a really quick resolution because again, the Automa mechs check 0 to 3 hexes away when they're doing an Automa mech action. So they're going to check the hexes they are currently on, and there is corruption on both of the hexes that the Automa mechs are on. So they're only going to take 1 of that corruption. So we're going to pop this 5 guile corruption off and this 3 power corruption off and put it into their supply. Alright, but that's the Automa mech actions done. Let's go ahead and get back to our turn. Alright, so what we're going to do on our turn is we are going to move and play because we do have Jiro right here, who is going to allow us to activate the previous card's ability, and if we can get to a hex that has a 4 or 3 corruption on top, we can activate the Cure a Whale of Parasites ability and gain that corruption. So let's go out onto the board and see if we can reach anywhere that has a 3 or 4 corruption. Alright, looks like we can because the Weird Forest has a 4 corruption on top of it. So what we're going to do is use our movement action to go 1, 2 right onto the Weird Forest, and then we are going to play. So we're going to play Jiro right here. Jiro's going to gain us 2 guile because we do have 1 star out, so let's go ahead raise that guile counter up to 4. And then we're also going to put a worker on Jiro, and Jiro's going to allow us to activate the previous card's ability. And again, you play cards in the active row in a line, so the previous card is going to be this card right here since we're going left to right, top to bottom. So we'll be able to activate the Cure a Whale of Parasites ability, so we're going to pay a guile and a power to gain a 3 or 4 corruption. Doesn't matter what color it is. So let's spend our guile and our power. And as you saw in the Weird Forest, there was that 4 corruption right there. We're going to pop off this 4 corruption and put it on our board. And the good thing about this is now I have 3 orange corruption, and since we melded a meteorite that allows us to gain $1 per orange corruption, I want to meld a meteorite again because then we would gain 3 money for that this time. Since every time you meld a meteorite, you gain the cumulative effects of every other meteorite that you previously melded. However, it's not our time to do that right now. We are going to draw the Automa's card. Alright, Automa is going to gain a progress. Okay, which means they move onto that 4 star space. That's unfortunate for us. They're going to put out their 4th star, and that's unfortunate because that means then that northernmost mech is going to be able to do this corruption action, and it's a pretty powerful action because it can take up to 3 corruption tokens. And as we can see here on the ice cave, there is 3 corruption that's stacked right there, just waiting for the Automa mech to come and grab it. So it's going to move one into the ice cave and then just grab all of this corruption and put it in its pile. However, thankfully the bottom mech is going to go a bit easier on us. It is just going to move 2 spaces. 1, 2. Alright, and it's back to our turn. What do we want to do? Alright, now looking at what we have in our active row, we do have those 2 quests, the Cure a Whale of Parasites and this Repair a Damaged Mech quest. And this Repair a Damaged Mech quest requires us to be in the 5 space. And you can see out on the board that the 5 space is 3 spaces away from us, so we could theoretically get there on a move action. However, we don't have any cards in our hand, so we wouldn't be able to solve even if we get there. So what we're going to do, we've only done one of these I believe, but we're going to take another refresh action. So we're going to move our cube to the refresh space, we're going to grab all the workers off of these cards right here, and then take all these cards back into our hand. So hopefully in the future what we are going to do is we're going to be able to move onto that 5 space. We'll be able to solve that quest and hopefully get something good on that turn, since we'll be able to do all 3 of these actions. Alright, but that is the end of our refresh action. We're going to go to the Automa. Let's see what they do. So they are going to gain a progress. The top mech is going to take another corruption action, and then we'll see if the southernmost mech can take an explore action. If not, it'll just move 3 spaces. So we'll begrudgingly give the mechs their progress right there, and then that northernmost mech is going to take that corruption action because again it has 4 stars out. So it's going to move into the encampment, and even though the encampment does have 2 corruption on it, it's still only going to take 1 as denoted by that number right there. So that's at least a little bit better. So it's going to pop off that corruption and put it into its supply. And then in the central area right here for the southernmost mechs action, it looks like all of the tiles are explored, so it's not going to take that map action, it's just going to move 3 spaces. So it's going to move 1, ignore the space we're on, 2, 3. Again, back to that fishing village. Alright, let's get to our turn. Okay, and we're going to slide our cube into here, and then we get to take all the exposed actions, which means we get to move, play, and gather. Now, we do want to move onto that 5 space so we can solve the Repair a Damaged Mech quest, and we're also going to play a card that allows us to solve a quest. And right now, Akiko is the only card in our hand that allows us to solve a quest. And the cool thing about this is when we solve that quest, we gain the core value of all of our solved quests. So we'd be able to gain that core value here, and we'll be able to gain that core value there. So it would give us more power, basically. So let's go ahead and take that move action. We're going to move 1, 2, 3 onto the mech junkyard, so we're on the 5 space, just where we need to be to solve our quest. Okay, and then we're going to take the play action. So we're going to go ahead and play Akiko. Akiko is going to allow us to gain 1 power, but we also get an extra power because we have a star out. So we'll go up 2 on that power track right there. And then we're going to pop a yellow worker on Akiko, and we're going to solve. So we're going to solve the Repair a Damaged Mech quest. We must pay its solve cost right here, so we go down 1 power. However, by doing so, we also gain the solve benefit, which is going to be a coin. So we get a coin on our board, and then we're just going to slide this guy right in on there. Now we have 2 solve quests in total, but we're not done yet because again, Akiko's solve power allows us to gain the core value of all of our solved quests, and the core value again is right up here in the top left, so we're going to gain 2 power. So we move up on the track and end with 5 power. Okay, and that was our play action. Now we are going to take the gather action. So we're going to gather on the mech junkyard. It's going to allow us to draw the top 2 cards of the deck and then keep 1 and put it into our active row. So let's see, we have an item. It's called the Chaos Grenade. It needs a red worker. You can vanquish with the Chaos Grenade, and whenever you vanquish, you flip a coin. If it's heads, gain 2 money. Otherwise, gain a guile. Interesting. Alright. And then we have another item called the Awakened Shard. The Awakened Shard allows us to play a card from our hand. and whenever we play a meteorite, we can activate its ability without placing a worker. Interesting. So this awakened shard could combo with that quest stone that we have, but the chaos grenade is also tempting because not only can we upgrade it, but I like that idea of gaining 2 money or guile if we vanquish. So, decisions. Now, I think it's safe to assume that if we play the Cure a Whale of Parasites quest, that when we pay a guile and power to gain the top corruption, if it's a 3 or 4 corruption, this is not a vanquish action because it does not mention specifically that it is a vanquishing action. It just says to gain that corruption. So I'm going to be treating that as such. So if we did upgrade that Chaos Grenade, we would not be able to flip that coin if we use the power on that card. So that's also something to consider. I think we're going to play the Awakened Shard. Not only does it gain us a guile, but we have a yellow worker, and we'll be able to play cards in our hand. And if we play meteorite cards, then we do not have to place a worker on them. And that sounds a little more tempting than the Chaos Grenade. So let's go ahead and discard the Chaos Grenade and keep that Awakened Shard. We're going to put it off in our active row right there, right next to Akiko. And then we're going to go on to the Automa's turn. So let's see. The Automa is going to gain 1 progress. Alright, so they're right there, almost at the 5-star point. Okay, and then the northernmost Automa cannot complete that 20 corruption action. Thank God, because it's right within range of that Automa. So it's just going to move 2 spaces instead. So, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Hopefully it doesn't take a 20 corruption action on its next turn. Alright, and then this bottommost Automa is going to sweep all the cards adjacent to it. So this Clue Stone and this Clear the Blockaded Bridge quest are going to be discarded, and they are going to replace it with 2 meteorites. We've got the Map Stone, which allows us to gain a map token from the general supply, and then the Meld Stone, which allows us to meld a meteorite. Alright, but after that sweep action, that southernmost mech can't take the exploration action because all the tiles are explored, so it's just going to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, onto the mining town. Now, these meteorites are actually pretty tempting because the benefit for the meld stone is gain a coin per melded meteorite, which means if I meld this, I would gain 2 coins. And this map stone right here, I would gain 1 money per map I have, and it also gives me map tokens, which again I can spend as guile and power. It would also give me guile if I play it, so ooh, give me guile, that sounds like a great band name. Kind of like Bring Me the Horizon, but give me guile. Okay, so I think on our turn we're actually going to grab one of those 2 meteorites. I haven't decided which one yet, but let's go ahead. We are going to cover the play space. We are going to move and gather on our turn. So we're going to move right here into the airship wreckage tile, and we get to gather from this spot, and we will gain a face-up card, which is going to be, let's see, which one do I want? Which one do I want? I think I want this map stone right here, because I do have 3 map tokens in my supply, so I will gain the maximum amount of money I can from this card for sure. So let's go ahead, grab the map stone. We're going to put it in our active row, of course, not in our hand. And then we are going to make sure to refill that empty spot with a card. And we get this quest card right here. Placate Possessed Animals. We can put a blue worker on it to pay a guile to gain 2 power. However, we don't really want to pay guile because there's tons of guile corruption out on the board. So if anything, we need to gain guile. And another part of the decision in grabbing that map stone was we would be able to gain guile easier from it. Alright, but now it's time for the Automa's turn, so let's go ahead and flip that Automa card. The Automa does unfortunately gain a progress, and ooh, it's inching really close to putting out its 5-star. Ugh. Okay, and then this northernmost mech is going to sweep, so it's going to remove that Lure and Confront the Cave Monsters card, which gets replaced with another quest, Hack Through Vines to Find a Hidden Entrance. Interesting. And then it's going to take an Explore action, and there's only 1 tile on the board left that's unexplored, so it's going to gain that map token and flip over that tile, and what do we get? We get the Ancient Temple. So if you gather there, you gain 2 money, and of course it allows you to meld once you remove that corruption. So let's put out corruption on the board for the final time. We're going to put out a 3 power corruption. Kind of wish that went on the top because of our Cure the Whale of Parasites quest. Alright, we get 3 more corruption, and let's see what we finally get. Bummer, we gain a 5 power corruption. Alright. So we're just going to put it right on top of there. And then for our southernmost mech, the Automa does have 4 stars out, so it's going to take that corruption action right there. And it has corruption right on the spot it's on. So it's going to grab that and put it into its supply right there. I think it's safe to say we are going to lose this game by quite a big margin. Alright, so for our turn, what do we want to do? Well, I think we want to gather and we want to play because I want more options. I want more cards in my hand that I can play around with since I have all of these workers right here. Alright, so we are going to play that quest stone because there are some quests out on the board. So we are going to pop a red worker on it and place it in the active row. We are going to gain 2 power from it since we do have a meteorite melded. And then we are going to gain 1 face-up quest to our hand. Now there are 2. There's placate possessed animals and there's hack through vines to find a hidden entrance. I think I'm going to grab this one because it allows us to vanquish, and it says if you do, you may discard up to 3 cards gaining their core values. Now discarding doesn't mean putting them in the sweep pile. Discarding means taking them from your hand and putting them into your active area. And based on the cards you do that with, you would gain the core values at the top left of the card. And that does include the bonuses that you get for placing out stars. So I thought that was a pretty cool ability. We are going to put that right there into our active row. And that card gets replaced with another quest, Banish the Squatters. It says gain the solve benefit of another quest card you control. And again, that's cards you control, not cards you have solved. So again, when you solve, when you upgrade, or when you meld, you do not control those cards anymore. Alright, and finally we are going to gather. We are going to gain a face-up card since we're on the airship wreckage spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this meld stone because it allows us to meld meteorites easier and gain power easier. So that's going to go into my active row. And that card gets replaced with another quest, locate the meteor epicenter. If we put a purple worker, we would gain the core value of all face-up meteorites. Ooh, that's kind of cool. But it's the stinking Automa's turn. So what's it going to do this time? Alright, that's cool. It doesn't gain a progress. And that southern Automa can't take the corruption action because it doesn't have 5 stars out. And the northern Automa can't take the explore action because there's nothing to explore. So they're just going to each move 1 space. I'm not going to show you guys this. I'm just going to move them 1 space on the board, and you can trust me that I did it correctly. Alright, so now it's our turn. What we are going to do is we are going to do the classic move and gather action. Okay, so we're going to move 3 spaces over here. 1, 2, 3 onto that coveted fishing village, and then we're going to take a gather action there. But remember that we upgraded that Deceptor crystal to our mech that says whenever you gather, you may pay a guile to include a benefit covered by corruption on your location. So first, when we gather, we are going to take this benefit, which gives us a guile and a power. So we're now at 4 guile and 8 power, wow. And then what we are going to do is I'm going to spend one of that 4 guile to activate that Deceptor crystal, and that's going to allow us to include the benefit of one of these spots on this tile that's covered by corruption, which is a boast benefit. And if you looky here, I honestly and truly did plan this out, but one of the goals is to have 8 cards that you control. And we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you were wondering why I took 2 cards last turn, it's because I wanted that 8 card goal. So we can boast and actually put out that star right there onto the goal board. So now not only did we go up in guile and power, but we also put out one of our stars. All right. Okay, let's go to the Automa's turn right here. So the Automa is going to gain a progress, and that unfortunately means they are going to put out their 5th star. So we're going to go ahead and put out their star into the supply. So I gain a star, but then the Automa gains a star. Doesn't feel like much of a victory in that way. Okay, and since the Automa does have at least 3 stars out, it's going to take a corruption action. So it's going to grab that top corruption and put it in its supply. And then for that middle mech, it's going to move 3 spaces. So 1, 2, it's going to skip over the spot we're on. 3. Go right to the impact zone. Alright, and what we're going to do on our turn is we are going to move and play. So I'm going to move our action cube and cover up the gather action, so we move and play. And we're going to move right into this research base right here that has some guile corruption that we can vanquish. Alright, so we moved, we're going to play. What we are going to do is we are going to play Jiro, who does have a power that allows us to vanquish. So when we play Jiro, we are going to get all of the benefits up here because we do have at least 2 stars out, so we gain 3 guile, so we're going to go up to 6. And then we did gather that blue worker on a previous turn, so we'll pop it on Jiro, and we can vanquish. And also, if we vanquish, it states that if this vanquish removes the location's final corruption, you may gain the revealed benefit. And the benefit that's covered up by corruption on the tile we're on is upgrading, and we do have an item card that we control that we could upgrade. But first we have to vanquish, and we do want to remove all of the corruption that's on this tile because there's only a total of 6 guile corruption on there. And hey, look at that. Jiro gave us the 3 guile that we needed to spend it all and vanquish all of this corruption. So let's spend all 6 of our guile, and let's gain all of this corruption right here. Alright, but as per Jiro's ability, we did remove the final bit of corruption, so we may take the revealed benefit, which is an upgrade action. I don't know why I didn't think of grabbing the tiles to show the vanquish action before. But yeah, so let's go ahead and see if we want to take our upgrade action. And yeah, I think we do because this ability is just too good to ignore. Whenever you play a meteorite, you may activate its ability without placing a worker. That's really cool. So we are going to take an upgrade action and upgrade the awakened shard. Alright, so we're going to slip it under right there on our mech, and the awakened shard is also going to give us 2 money since we have it upgraded at the end of the game. So now we have a Deceptor Crystal and an awakened shard. Alright, let's get to the Automa's turn. They are going to gain 1 progress, so they're racing their way to getting that 6th star. Okay, and the top Automa mech can't take that 20 corruption action because the Automa doesn't have at least 7 stars, so it's going to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And there's no more tiles to reveal, so the bottom mech is going to move 2 spaces. 1, 2. Alright, so we're actually making some pretty good progress right here. Let's see what we want to go for on our turn by looking at some of these goals. I do think the most likely goal in our future is that corruption goal, have 7 corruption, because we do currently have 5 corruption from that vanquish action that we just did. That 20 corruption seems a bit unlikely since we have to gain 10 power and 10 guile, so I don't think we'll go for that. And then I think quests is the second most likely since we do have 2 quests out on our board. But since it's pretty easy for us to meld meteorites because of this meld stone, we might want to go for melding meteorites instead of quests. But let's see, this ancient temple over here does only have power corruption, and it's not that much, so it has a 5, a 3, and a 3. We're currently at 8 power, so if we made our way over to here and vanquish the top 2 corruption, we could spend that power to gain these 2 corruption tiles, so that is something to think about. So yeah, on our turn, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try and move over to that ancient temple. Hopefully this Automa doesn't try and go for that corruption, but we're going to go and place our action marker over the play spot, so we're going to move and gather on our turn. Now we have 2 choices. Do we want to move to the crater rim and take a de facto refresh action and a sweep action, or do we want to go to the ice cave and gain a coin? Well, I think that's a no-brainer. We want to go to the crater rim. So we're going to move 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, end on the crater rim right here, and then we are going to gather from the crater rim. Now, when we gather, I don't think we're going to take this sweep action because honestly, all of these cards out here kind of look like stuff that I might want in the future. So what we're going to do instead is take that reset action, which again allows us to refresh everything without moving our cube into the refresh space and losing that turn. So we're going to gather and take that reset action. So let's go ahead. We're going to pop off all of these workers. Our mat's getting a little crowded, which is good, but also one bump of this table and it'll all be over. And we're going to move all these cards goes into our hand. Man, that reset action is way more useful than it seems initially. If you play this game, you do not want to ignore that benefit. Alright, but that was our turn. There are no more cards left in the Automa deck, so we're just going to shuffle it up. We're going to remove the top 2 cards, and then flip this guy over. So, the Automa is going to gain a progress. It's going to work its way up to that 6th star. It's going to gain it on its next turn. Alright, and that top mech still can't take that 20 corruption action, and the bottom mech just isn't going to take that explore action, so both are going to move. The top is going to move 3, the bottom is going to move 2. So let's go. Ka-chunk, 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 and bzzt, bzzt. Alright, and it's back to our turn. Now, this sucks, because annoyingly, as you can see here, this Automa mech landed on the Ancient Temple, which is exactly the space that we wanted to be on, because we wanted to vanquish and gain that corruption. And we can't take a move and gather action this turn, because we just took it last turn, and if we take a move and play action this turn, we won't be able to move and play on our next turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay here in this area. I'm going to play and gather and see what I can get out of doing that. Alright, so we're going to cover up the move space and we are going to play and gather. And I think we're going to take our gather after we play because we can take that reset action and just put whatever we played back into our hand. I think what we want to do is play this mapstone because it's going to gain us 2 guile and it's also going to give us those map tokens from the general supply. And again, our mech's innate power is we can trash a map to gain a power, guile, or $1 at any time. So let's go ahead and play the map stone right here. We do have 1 melded meteorite, so we are going to gain the extra benefit. So let's go ahead and raise our guile to 2. And remember, we have this upgrade right here that allows us to play a meteorite and we don't have to activate its ability by placing a worker, so we don't have to spend this green worker right here. So we are going to just gain a map from the general supply. We do not gain the second benefit here because we do not have 2 melded meteorites. So let's go ahead and grab that and put it out on our board. Alright, and we're just going to take the gather action then, which again allows us to sweep and reset. We are not going to sweep, we are just going to reset, so we're going to put that card back into our hand. Alright, and now it's Automa's turn. So they are going to gain a progress, which means they put out their 6th star. Ugh, annoying. Here's their 6th star going right into their supply. Doink. And man, look at this. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 spots away from ending the game, in which we would both get a final turn. So the pressure is on, let's just say. We definitely want to try and at least get 1 more star out. But look at this, just my luck. Okay, so this northernmost mech is going to take a corruption action, and guess which spot they just so happen to be on? That exact spot that I wanted to go to and vanquish that corruption. Oh my god. Okay, so they are only going to take 2 corruption, which means they take these top 2 corruption right here. I mean, I guess we can go to the mountain pass over here, since it does have guile corruption. But still, that's just absolutely really annoying. And it's not even going to move off of that space, so it's not like we could gain this 3 power corruption anyway. Okay, and that central mech is just going to move 2 spaces. So, bzzzt, bzzzt, right there, back onto its favorite spot in the world, the fishing village. Gotta get some liquid death to hype me up. Liquid death gods, please help me out here. Please vanquish my opponents with your wonderful sparkling water flavor. Thirst quenching. Alright, enough messing around. Back to our turn. So we need guile, and the card that's going to give us the most guile is going to be Jiro. Jiro will be able to give us 3 guile if we play him. And we can also use one of Jiro's abilities, which is Vanquish, which is what we want to do right here at the mountain pass. So what we're going to do on our turn is we're going to cover up Gather, and we're going to move and play. But before we play Jiro, we are going to move first onto a spot that has corruption we can vanquish, which is this mountain pass right here. We're going to have to settle for that. So we're going to take our move action, 1, 2, and then we're going to take our play action. Now, taking a look at the mountain pass tile. Sorry guys, my dog's here. Gotta give her some love real quick. You want to say hi to the camera? You want to say hi to the camera? Huh? Oh, don't touch the mat. Ah! Okay, but this mountain pass tile right here has 3 guile corruption. So that's a total of 6 guile that we'd need to vanquish it all. And we do want to vanquish it all because then we would have a total of 7 corruption on our board, and that's enough to get that 7 corruption goal. So what we're going to do first is play Jiro because he can get us 3 of that guile that we need right here. So we're going to move our guile up to 5. And then we're going to socket a blue worker onto Jiro to take his vanquish ability. Now remember, we can trash map tiles to gain power, guile, or 1 money. So what we're going to do is trash one of these map tiles that we gained from our map stone on a previous turn in order to move up to 6 guile. And that's enough to remove all of this guile corruption on this tile. So we're going to take Jiro's vanquish ability, we're going to move our guile down to 0, we're going to spend it all, and since we spent 6 guile, we can take both of these guile corruption tiles. But that's not all, because Jiro's vanquish ability allows us to gain the revealed benefit if we reveal it when we take the vanquish action. And we did reveal it, and it's a meld action, so we get a meld action on top of the vanquishing. That was something I didn't even plan out ahead. So let's go ahead and see which meteorite we want to meld. Now, the quest stone can gain us 1 money per quest. We do have 2 quests out. The meld stone will give us 1 money per melded meteorite. We've got 1 of those. However, the map stone will give us 1 money per map for a maximum of 3 money, and we have 3 map tokens on our board. So we are going to meld the map stone. Alright, so we are going to slip this guy under here. Man, they make it so unnecessarily hard. Man, this game is super fiddly, guys. If you don't like fiddle in your game, don't play this. Okay, but we are going to gain 1 coin per map token we have. We have 3, so let's gain 3 coins. Alright, so we gained our 3 coins from that, but we also get the benefit of all the other meteorites that we melded. So we're going to gain this benefit right here, which is gain 1 coin per orange corruption for a maximum of 3 coins, and that's good because we do have 3 orange corruption out here on our mech map. So let's just go ahead and gain 3 more coins right here. Alright, so that play was a lot more fruitful than I thought it would be. We do now have 2 completed quests, 2 upgraded items, and 2 melded meteorites. Alright, but it is the Automa's turn, so what are they going to do? They are not going to gain a progress. Ooh, that's nice. So we're just going to go over to the Automa's actions and movement. Alright, so the topmost Automa is going to sweep, so it's going to remove this banish the squatters cards and replace it with the morph stone. And then all of the tiles are explored, so it's just going to move 2 spaces. So 1, 2. However, the central mech here is going to take its action because it has at least 3 stars, and it's a corruption action, and it gains 1 corruption. So it's going to go ahead and grab that right off the tile and put it into its supply. Alright, and then it's back to our turn. Definitely what I want to do on my turn is I want to move and gather. So I'm going to move our action marker onto the play spot, and we're going to move and gather. And we're going to move right onto the stormy sea here, and we're going to gather on the stormy sea. So first, we have the sweep action we can take. I don't want to do that, but we are definitely going to take this benefit right here, which again is gain 1 benefit from an adjacent location. And we're going to gain this benefit right here, which is meld a meteorite. So we're going to meld again. Alright, we are on a melding kick, so what to meld this time? So what we're going to do is I think we are going to meld the meld stone because it gives us 1 money per melded meteorite, and we'd have 3 melded meteorites. Alright, so let's tuck that meld stone under there, and then we're going to take all our meteorite benefits. So let's see how much moolah we get. Alright, so we get 3 money for this meteorite here because we have 3 melded meteorites. We get 3 more money because we have 3 map tokens on our mech, and we get 3 more money because we have 3 orange corruption. So that means we get a total of 9 money. That is awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this 10 coin and return this 1 coin on our mech map. Alright, a pretty fruitful turn, but let's not forget we still have 1 more benefit we can gain, and that is the boast benefit. And we do have 7 corruption on our mech, which is one of the objectives on the objective board. So we get to boast and place a star on that 7 corruption objective. So now we have 3 stars out. We are actually doing quite well, much better than I thought we would. Okay, but it's time for our Automa's turn, so let's see what they do. They are going to gain a progress. Let's move it up there. They are close to gaining their 7th star. And then that top Automa there is going to sweep. So it's going to remove this card, and it's going to replace it with a quest, Control the Possessed, and another quest, Track Tarkovsky's Trail. And then the top mech can explore, so it's just going to move 1 spot right here onto the encampment. That bottom mech, however, is going to take the corruption action and take up to 2 corruption. And there is corruption right here on the impact zone it can grab, so it's going to move here, grab that corruption, and put it into its supply. Alright, and it's back to our turn. Now, I do have 1 more meteorite in my possession that I can meld, and I am on a spot that would allow me to meld a meteorite since I get to take an adjacent benefit. But I don't want to do that just yet because I do have some quest cards in my hand that I want to complete. And again, the benefit of completing quests is at the end of the game, your stars are worth a lot more. And I can see right here, this quest, Cure a Whale of Parasites, requires us to be on the 12 spot of the board. And the 12 spot, the fishing village, is right here. It's exactly 3 spaces away from us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up the gather spot, and I'm going to move and play on my turn, because Akiko is going to allow us to solve a quest if we play her and put a yellow worker on her. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our move action. We're going to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Again, we can move through tiles that mechs are on. We just can't end our movement on a tile with a mech. And then let's go ahead and play. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play Akiko. So Akiko's core value is going to gain us a power, and we do definitely have more than 2 stars out, so we will also gain a guile. So we're going to gain 1 guile and 2 power, which puts us at 10 power, which is a lot of power that we can't really do a lot with. And then we are going to slot a yellow worker onto Akiko's card, which allows us to solve. And if we solve, then we gain the core value of all of our solved quests. Alright, and since we are on spot 12, we want to solve the spot 12 quest, which is Cure a Whale of Parasites. Now, the payment for solving this quest is 2 guile. However, remember that we can trash map tokens to gain a guile, so I'm going to trash this one and move my guile up to 2 right there. And then we're going to spend 2 of that guile to pay for this quest. And then we are going to gain the solve benefit, which is we gain 1 corruption and we gain a coin. Alright, so let's put a coin out on our mech mat. And when you gain a corruption as a benefit, you simply draw it from the bag. Now, if there's no corruption in the bag, you simply don't get any corruption. So you want to make sure that there is corruption in the bag when you gain that benefit, but we gain an orange corruption and put it out on our mech mat. And that's going to gain us 2 more coins at the end of the game. Alright, and let's go ahead and slot our quest in right here. And remember, per Akiko's power, we do get to gain the core value of all of our solved quests. However, this 2 power is going to be wasted that we would have gained because we are already at 10. We can't gain any more than that. So we're simply going to gain 1 guile right here. Alright, and that is my turn. Let's go to the Automa. So the Automa flips. They are not going to progress, alright, so they won't get their 7th star, so let's just go on to their movement. We are honestly getting pretty lucky with these Automa cards. I swear I'm not stacking the deck in our favor. But this top Automa mech is going to go ahead and take a corruption action. It's going to gain up to 2 corruption tokens. However, the tile it's on already has a corruption token, so it's going to grab that and put it into its supply. And then that central Automa mech right there is just going to move 1 space. Bzzzt, right there into the crater rim. Alright, our turn. So we have 3 solved quests. We have 3 melded meteorites. We just have 2 upgraded cards, so most likely we're going to go for either solving a quest or melding a meteorite and then boasting and putting out that final 4th star. Now I see this impact zone right here next to us does allow us to meld a meteorite, and we have this quest stone that we control, so we're definitely going to move and gather. So I'm going to move this action marker on top of the play action, and we are going to move and gather on our turn. So we're going to move the mech right here onto the impact zone, and then we're going to gather. We're obviously not going to gain power. We are going to instead meld a meteorite. Okay, so let's meld that final meteorite we have, which is the quest stone. We are going to tuck it under here, and then we are going to take all of our meld benefits. So this one right here, gain 1 coin per quest you control for maximum of 3 coins. Oh, so I thought it would be quests that you've solved, but no, it's quests you control. Well, we do have 1 quest that we control, so we will get at least 1 coin from that. That was a strategic error on my part, but we will go ahead and gain 1 coin. Then this meteorite, we gain 1 coin per melded meteorite, which we have 4 melded meteorites. So let's go ahead and put more money out on our board. I'm going to exchange these 5 right here for a 5 coin since we're so rich. I don't know how our mech is even able to move around with all this money on it weighing it down. Alright, then we're going to gain 1 coin per map token for a maximum of 3. Now we do only have 2 map tokens out on our board, so we're going to gain 2 coins for that. Put him out right there. And then we're going to gain 1 coin per orange corruption for a maximum of 3, so we get all 3 coins for that. And look at that, we just broke the bank. Not really, but I am pretty happy how well I'm doing in this game, considering how I usually do against other Automa systems. Alright, but speaking of Automa, we moved and we gathered, which was that meld action. We are going to go over to the Automa's turn, and they for sure will be putting out their 7th star on this turn. Yes, they are going to gain that progress right there. So the Automa right here is going to go over the 7th star spot, and they're going to put out their 7th star into their supply. Alright, and then they're going to be sucking up all the corruption on that land, which is good for the land, I guess, but not great for us. Okay, we're going to wait for this idiot on a motorcycle blasting his music to go past. If you ride a motorcycle and you're like that at night, you have problems. Okay, so our Automa mechs, it looks like they are going to suck up the final remnants of corruption on the land, which is good for the land, I guess, but not good for us because we want to be the best at being good. Alright, so the northernmost Automa mech is going to gain corruption. They're going to move to the observatory tile right here, and they do only gain 1 corruption, so they're going to take it from the top and put it in their supply. And then for the bottom Automa mech right there, they are going to do the same. There is 1 corruption on this warehouse tile right here. It is covered up by my beautiful face, but they're going to move 2 spaces there and then grab that and put it into their supply. Okay. It is our turn, and we want to boast because we have 4 melded meteorites. We want to end that game before the Automas get any more stuff. I just discovered something troubling. We moved and gathered on our previous turn, so we can't move to a spot with a boast action and gather. So we are actually going to refresh because I want to set myself up to be able to vanquish on my final turn after I put out that 4th star, and I know I will be able to boast on my next turn, and the Automa won't put out their 8th star, and the Automa is going to put out their 8th star regardless, because even if I boasted on the next turn, they would still get 1 more turn to put out a star. So we can't really stop the inevitable from happening. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop off our workers here and put everybody back into our hand. Alright, and let's see what the Automa does. They are going to gain a progress right here. Okay, and then the northernmost mech is going to take a corruption action. It's currently on a tile that has corruption right here, so it's going to put it into its supply. And then the southernmost mech is going to move 2 spaces. So it's going to move 1, 2 right here onto the research base. Alright, we're going to move our cube into this spot right here, and we do get to move, play, and gather on our turn. Now, looking at the board, we can't reach an area with corruption to vanquish. There's still 1 more tile with corruption, but it's 4 spaces away from us, so we can't reach that. So if we do play a card, we won't be able to use any vanquish abilities. So I don't really see any benefit of playing a card right now other than gaining more guile, but the final corruption on the board is a power. Might as well play a card right here, gain some guile, I guess. Let's have some fun. Let's go ahead and take our play action first and play Jiro out here. And Jiro is going to gain us 3 guile in total. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's go to the board. Let's move and gather. Alright, let's go ahead and move our mech. We're going to move 2 spaces into the Stormy Sea because the Stormy Sea does have the ability to boast when we gather there. And then we're going to gather. We aren't going to sweep because there's no point in sweeping right now. We are going to take one adjacent benefit. Now, we can't meld any more meteorites because you can only meld up to 4 meteorites. But this benefit right here does gain us 1 coin, so that's the adjacent benefit we're going to do. But let's go ahead and gain our final gather benefit, which is boast. And we do have 4 melded meteorites, so we can finally put that 4th star out onto the goal board, which means the game's end is triggered. So the Automa's going to get 1 more turn, and then I will take the final turn of the game. All right, so we moved, we played, we gathered. Let's go ahead and flip the Automa's final card. Now, they definitely are going to gain a progress to put out that 8th star. I wish I knew how I could have avoided that, but you know what? It was kind of inevitable that they would amass tons of points in my game. All right, and there it is. Yes, they are going to gain that final progress that they need. So they're going to go up to that 8th spot and gain their final 8th star. And again, stars are each worth 4 coins for the Automa at the end of the game. So they're going to pop this guy off and put it in their supply. Okay, Automa movement time. That northernmost Automa is going to sweep all adjacent cards. Doesn't really matter because we weren't going for any cards on our last 2 turns anyway. It's not going to explore, so it is going to move 3 spaces. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. It's going to end on the mountain pass. Alright, and then that bottommost Automa can't gain any corruption because it sucked up all that corruption in its central area, so it's just going to move 3 spaces. Bzz, 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 back to the crater rim. Alright, and then this is going to be the last turn of the game because we put out our 4th star. Now, what's really cool is this Automa moved 3 spaces, so it did not end on the ancient temple. So I do believe that if we move and then play, we would be able to gain this final corruption out on the board. Yes, indeed, because we have the hack through vines to find a hidden entrance quest card, which does allow us to take a vanquish action, and as you know, we have a heck ton of power. So I'm going to move this action marker over the gather space of our mech mat. We're going to move 3 spaces, so we're going to go 1, 2, over to the ancient temple. Alright, and then we are going to play, since we did our move action. So we're going to play hack through vines to find a hidden entrance. Let's go ahead and pop a red worker on that. Now it does give us a power, but we don't need it because we're already at max power. Wasn't that the name of the Homer Simpson cop character in that one Simpsons episode where they like make him an idiot? Am I just misremembering stuff? I don't know. This has nothing to do with expeditions. Alright, and then we've got 3 orange corruption on this hex, so we're going to spend 3, 1, 2, 3 power, and we're going to pop this guy off of that hex and put it in our supply. And I think it's interesting to note that I could have also gathered here and gained 2 coins, and I would have gotten the same outcome because corruption tokens are each worth 2 money. So either way, I would have gotten 2 points. Alright, and the game is over, so let's go ahead, count up all our points, then we'll count up the Automa's points, and hopefully we would have beat them, because honestly, I thought I played pretty well this game. Alright, but let's check the goal board to see how we score. It's pretty handy how it lays out how everything scores right here. But first, we are going to score all the coins we have already in our supply. So 32, we have 32 coins. Alright, and then next, we score each of our stars based on how many quests we completed. Now we completed 3 quests, as you can see right up here. So our stars are each going to be worth 10 coins. And we put out all 4 of our stars, so that means we get 40 coins. So 32 plus 40, that is 72. Then we're going to score each item we upgraded. So that's going to be our Deceptor Crystal and our Awakened Shard. And you're going to look at that little number in the bottom right corner, so that's 4 plus 2, which is 6. So 72 plus 6, that's 78. And then finally, every corruption gains us 2 coins. So we're going to gain 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And 78 plus 18, that's going to be 96. And then don't forget that our mechs power is if we trash map tokens, we can gain 1 money per map token we trash. So we're going to trash these 2. and that's going to give us 2 more coins. All right, so 96 plus 2, that is 98. Our final score for the game is 98, just 2 shy from 100. But 98 is pretty good, although we don't know what our Automa got, so let's take a look. So the Automa doesn't gain coins throughout the game, but it is going to score for map tokens, corruption, and stars. Each map token is going to be worth 1 point, each corruption is going to be worth 2 points, and each star is going to be worth 4 points. And again, coins are points, points are coins. I just flip-flop between the two. Alright, so the Automa gained a total of 9 map tokens in the game, so it's going to gain 9 coins for that. The Automa gained 19 corruption tokens throughout the game, so 19 times 2, that is 38 if I'm not mistaken. So 38 plus 9, that's going to be 47. And the Automa gained all of their stars this game, and each star is worth 4 coins. So 8 times 4, that's going to be 32. And 32 plus 47, that is 79. So we beat the Automa. We actually won this time. And I couldn't be more happier than that, because I usually lose to the Stonemaier Automas, which this one is on level 2, which is what the game suggests you play with when you first start out. So next time I play, I think I definitely will go for a harder card. And I think the only change to the gameplay that the difficulty makes is it makes the resources the Automa gathers more valuable. Alright, and that is it. Thank you for tuning into this playthrough of Expeditions. This was a fun game to play. It's definitely different from the original game. I mean, it does borrow some mechanisms, but not completely. It's definitely a more do-your-own thing game. There's not a lot of interaction between players like there was in Scythe, with the attacking and camping out on spots and sending workers back. But I do think there is some necessary interaction that the Automa introduces in the solo mode by taking those corruption tokens and sweeping those cards and blocking spaces, as you saw at the end there when it took the corruption tokens from the ancient temple spot that I was trying to get. That could have allowed me to have boasted earlier. So there are points of interaction between you and the Automa, and I do think the way that they gather stuff early, it does kind of put pressure on you to sort of optimize more in the future, and definitely as you go up in difficulty levels, it'll put more pressure on that. And the Automa system is great. This might be one of my favorite Stonemaier Automas. It is so simple to run. One of the things about Scythe that kind of turned me off about playing it solo was how the Automa movement worked, how the Automa fighting worked. You kind of had to play the solo mode a lot to really get those ideas into your head. With this solo mode, I read through the booklet once, and I only had to refer to it once in the previous playthrough, but aside from that, I'm pretty sure I got everything right on the Automa's part, and that's just a great feeling. And I love how quick the turns are. Sometimes with games you get Automas that almost take as much as your turn, and you're kind of like, well, how much time am I actually spending on playing this game for myself? With this game, you don't have to worry about that with the solo mode. You definitely will be able to take your turns and the Automa turns in a really quick and snappy way. So yeah, Expeditions, I definitely want to play this solo in the future on harder modes. I do think there's lots of variability that can make the games change. I mean, there's this whole stinking deck of cards that we didn't even get through most of them, and the ones that we discarded, we didn't even get to implement them into our engine. So yeah, I am looking forward to this one in the future. Hopefully I can get this one played with actual people. So I hope you guys have a great night. Again, this has been Bedside Tabletop. I'm Richard. I hope you guys get some rest, get reinvigorated for tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the next video.